Welcome once again to our continuing YouTube video series on technology, law, and business. My name is Christopher Neufeld of Neufeld Legal. And in this YouTube video series focusing on a new area of technology lawyer, I'm going to be discussing how we're trying to focus the legal practice as it relates to technology businesses and how that's of benefit to yourself. Now, why do I want to stress this and why I've been making a YouTube video on it? Now, there's been what we're trying to do is we're trying to create efficiencies. Efficiencies both in our own practice and efficiencies that we can share with our technology clients. And how do you go about doing that? Well, you draw upon the old, but you integrate the new. Now, when I say that, what am I looking at in this particular video? How do we integrate the new? Well, we want to create efficiencies. So one of the major areas of efficiencies is video conferencing, and video conferencing that's done via your computer. There's a whole bunch of video conferencing programs, from GoToMeeting to Skype to Google's to Page Systems, you name it, there's a whole bunch out there. Typically, you want to be, in fact, with clients, oftentimes you're going to defer over to the more efficient, commonly used and free systems, just because it enables people to utilize a system that they merely need to download, as opposed to what a lot of larger companies do is use have internal systems. Gives a bit more security, yes, but the thing is, internally within a company, a lot of people you can have one common system across the board. Meanwhile, as a lawyer, you can't be saying to people, I want a video conference with you. I want you to be using this program and buy the program, especially at the outset of the business arrangement. Instead, you start looking at what are the best and most efficient ways to video conference with people, whether it's a GoToMeeting, whether it's Skype, whether it's another system. And how does video conferencing help? Well, video conferencing helps in a number of different ways. It enables you to have human interaction with the client and the lawyer, and it's direct access, and people do not have to necessarily leave their place of operation. So instead of having to limit yourself to lawyers within driving distance from yourself, instead you're able to draw upon the right expert or the right person to service your legal matter, service your business challenge. So what are you doing then? You're drawing upon people who you can engage with, who are potentially hundreds of kilometers away, thousands of miles away, people who know what you're doing, especially when it comes to international business, when you're expanding your business. So I could effectively be working with somebody who is based in Australia, who is based in India, who's based in China, who's based in parts of Europe, parts of the United States, parts of South America and the Caribbean. It doesn't matter. Similarly, I could be dealing with my local clients when they're off at business meetings. So oftentimes I have a number of key technology clients, and they're in meetings with their own clients, and they have to go visit them, and they have to do stuff and to finalize contracts. Now, when they're wanting to finalize their contract, they're sitting down there, and it could be at a Fortune 5 company's headquarters, which could be anywhere in the world. Or they could, this is another one, they could be on vacation and something comes up and needs to be addressed. And they want to discuss it with you. Video conferencing is often the best way to do this, because everybody brings their laptop computers, and if you don't have your laptop computer, you can even do it off your phone. And you can engage the person, show them stuff, direct them to stuff, you name it. Now, what do you do then? You engage people, and then you draw upon it, and you can confer with them. and it's a lot more efficient, and it can be a lot of these video conferences supplemented by communications that you can type out, but it's just a lot more efficient than typing up lengthy emails, which often takes a considerable amount of time, because you're going through stuff and you focus and then you hope that somebody gets it and then they respond back, and it's a back and forth, and responding back and forth through a series of emails oftentimes is not the most efficient way to do stuff, when really you want to go through a series of aspects. And in an email, what you might do is you might have a series of questions or a series of problems that you have to do. But if the very first question is directs you in another direction, you've spent 15, 20 minutes, half an hour writing up the rest of the email, and it has no particular relevance, and you should have focused on something else. So that's why you have to go to another medium. Now, you could also do it by phone. There's nothing wrong with that as well. But oftentimes, what you'll find is video conferencing is a far more personal method of engaging people. And the video conference systems people tend to utilize those more just because of the additional tools to focus themselves and to be engaged in it, as opposed to simply having a phone call and just spurting out stuff. You slow down a bit when you're video conferencing. You have that more interpersonal communication. So you work through this and you engage the person and you talk about stuff. You can see when people are actually focused on something else. And this is important, especially with lawyers and other professionals that you're dealing with on the business side. Oftentimes, when you're on a phone call, you're expecting rapid responses because you cannot see the personal disposition of the individual on the other side. What a video conference allows you to see is, it allows you to see even the lawyer's thought pattern a bit. And when I'm saying thought pattern, I'm saying, is this something that they're actually thinking about in a serious manner, and you need to give them time to think it through. Like if it's stuff that just pops off their head, which is great. Too many people when they're on the phone, they think everything's operating like a machine, and things are not like a machine. You have to gauge people, and you have to slow down how you're communicating stuff, because you have to understand what a lot of your external professionals are doing when you're engaging them is they're thinking through a variety of scenarios before they give you the answer. And when you're on a video conference as opposed to a phone call, they actually do think through those things. You can see that they're thinking through that stuff. So you notice that they're completely engaged with yourself, but while being engaged with yourself, they are also focusing their attention on trying to find you the particular appropriate response back. And that is discernible when you're looking at somebody and seeing them thinking stuff through. When you're on a phone, you just hear a lot of words coming through, and you're thinking, oh, blank space, are they engaged in something else? They could be, and they might not be. But you got to give people time. Now, here's another good thing about stuff, especially with professionals. When you're on a phone with somebody, and even when they're on speakerphone, oftentimes they could be doing 17 different things. Well, not 17 different things, but another thing. They could be looking at a computer screen, working and typing out stuff on some other file. When you're on a video conference, the person on the other end of the video conference, you see them, and you can discern how engaged they are. Now, when I'm on a video conference with somebody, I am completely engaged with that, because there is no way that I want somebody to be thinking that, and I won't do this on a phone call myself, but the thing is, you don't want to give this kind of impression. You shouldn't be giving this kind of impression, because you can pick it up pretty easily, that you're focused on other stuff. You're looking at your other phone, you're looking at your computer screen, you're reading emails at the same time, you're typing out other messages. That is really taken away when you're on video conferencing. So that way, when you video conference with somebody, you've got their complete and utter focus, which is how it should be. You're paying for their complete attention, because when people are doing multiple things, and I know multitasking is a great thing when it's low-level work. When it comes to the work that you're doing, work you're paying for lawyers or other people of a high level, you want their complete and utter attention and focus on yourself and your legal assignment. So that's why you really should consider move away from simply dealing with having conversations on the phone, and actually think about having video chats with your lawyer. Your lawyer should be looking at this. It's a great way to engage their client. And that's why you should be looking at it saying, okay, let's have a video conference. Because a video conference is a very effective means to actually engage with the lawyer, deal with stuff at a more rapid pace, because you don't have to set up a meeting, travel to a meeting, and the like. But you get more out of it. And I know everybody wants to focus on getting the most out of their legal services and their other external professional services. So how do you do that? You use the tools that are at your disposal and consider the value associated with each of those tools, and why or why not your lawyer is using that or your other professionals are not using that. So if we just want to recap, what is the value of video conferencing, whether it's with your lawyer or with other professionals? You get personal engagement with them. You're able to communicate with them and start going through the process and getting the focus to move quickly and rapidly through a whole series of questions, so that you're going on the right line from the beginning, as opposed to going back and forth through a series of emails, which is of itself time consuming. Yes, emails are efficient as opposed to waiting to set up a meeting, but then you're wasting time traveling, especially if you're busy yourself, and then making time within the lawyer's schedule. The lawyer still has to make schedule time for you with a video conference. And then it comes to the focus. Focusing in video conferences is where you're going to get priority focus from your lawyer or other professional, because their attention is going to be to communicate with you. You're going to be able to discern how focused they are. You're going to also be able to discern when they're actually thinking and contemplating about strategies and issues that you might not otherwise have given them the time to do if you were simply on a phone call. So instead of simply talking and expecting boom, 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 boom answers, what you're seeing is you're seeing somebody who's engaged in your project, who's thinking about stuff, and is assessing the best strategy. You want the best strategy, but sometimes people don't recognize that that's what they're doing. And this leads to our final point on this summation, is that when you're on a video conference, you got to be focused on the video conference, because the other person will be able to discern if you're doing 15 different things, if you're watching other stuff on your video screen, if you're typing up emails, you're checking emails, you're walking around and not really paying attention, you're putting stuff away in files. That is all too common with a telephone call. Personally, I try to avoid doing that stuff, and I try to just sit down and focus on the call. But the thing is, you've probably seen a lot of situations where you've been on a telephone call and people are rushing about trying to do 17 things at once, and they miss what you're saying. Do you really want somebody missing what you're saying? It's different if they're paying attention and they're thinking about what you're saying and strategizing on it, but especially where you're paying significant amounts of money for professionals, you want them completely focused. Hence the importance of video conferencing, and hence the reason why lawyers who video conference are going to be of benefit to yourself. as well as the fact that they can be anywhere and you can be anywhere and you can engage them. Yes, they might just be down the street from you. And even then, if you want to do something, you have your information, you have your files, you have your computer there, and they have similar their stuff there. Video conferencing, even in that situation, is oftentimes the more efficient way of handling stuff. It's about efficiencies. And when you're paying big dollars for legal representation and other professional services, what you want to be doing is making the greatest of efficiencies, getting the most out of it. Because when you spend good, hard money to get good, solid legal representation, which is what I expect from all my clients who are engaging my services, they want to get the most out of it. And now, in this new era, using video conferencing with respect to a large part of the provision of legal services and the expectations of clients is the way you should be focusing on. And especially in the tech sector, and especially in a business that's moving forward at a strong pace, consider it, because it is of utmost importance to getting the most out of the legal services you're expecting from your lawyer. So I hope you found this YouTube video informative, and we see you again as we continue to explore how in our own legal practice of servicing technology companies as they develop their business and expand their business and deal with the challenges of contracts and the like, we're using new systems. You should consider using those new systems, whether it's with ourselves or with another lawyer, or whether it's with other professionals in other aspects beyond the legal sphere. Looking forward to seeing you once again.